A master called together a few young men of this generation and spoke to them, saying, I gave your great-grandfathers a time of despair and poverty and global war. They were strong and victorious and built an empire greater than any other. But they were terrible fathers and raised entitled sons and daughters of rot who inherited everything through no courage of their own. To those rotten sons, your own grandfathers, I gave abundance and wealth and stability. But they pissed it all away on debauchery and sexual revolution, establishing many idols and slaughtering tens of millions of children in sacrifice to their appetites. One generation fought against the perpetrators of a great Holocaust. The next dishonored that victory with an even greater Holocaust of their own children. The children who did survive, your fathers, carried on the sexual descent of their parents into new madness and new disease, piercing and inking their skin like death-worshipping pagans as they did, establishing special days of pride to celebrate the debauch, slaughtering more children and castrating and poisoning others, claiming to be creators when they were destroyers, mutilating the young and calling it acceptance. All these generations I have judged, and am judging. Their madness now is only a taste of my wrath. The young men were afraid and asked the master why he had called them and why he was telling them these things. Because it is now your turn. I am giving all of this chaos to you, he said. Your inheritance is a world of crumbling false gods crowded with blind and mad worshippers. I am entrusting you with a world of empires built on cracked and heaving foundations. The time of your inheritance is near. You have only a little while to prepare yourselves. Seize this moment of chaos and build me a world of sanity and righteousness. When I return, I will judge what you have built for me. With so much rubble to work with, I expect great things. The master turned to leave, but the young men begged him to wait. How can we do this, they asked. There are hundreds of millions of unbelievers in our nation alone and only a few of us. Their master answered, saying, I am not a hard master. You will have the truth and wisdom if you desire it. And you may each choose one woman to help you. That should be enough. Go now and build New St. Andrew's College. Carpe Chaos.
Legacy media is falling apart, and as it crumbles, a void is opening, a void that we intend to fill. The big legacy news networks currently average just 1.2 million viewers a weeknight, and those numbers are only going to get lower. Legacy media is dying, and the younger generation has moved on. Legacy media panders. Legacy media lies. Legacy media does not know what the truth is, and they don't care about it. Legacy media is a dumpster fire. This is why we few in our wild imaginations have started the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Our goal is to take down the legacy media giant of the last 50 years with our 5 stones. We started in 2016 with our flagship show, CrossPolitic. Since those small beginnings, we now air on DirecTV. Our broader podcast network now gets over 4 million downloads a year. And our Fight Laugh Feast pub, which includes TV shows like This America, The Rowdy Christian's Guide, Pastors in Politics, and As the Lord Pleases, with your support, many more to come. Our goal is to become the flagship new media 2.0 network over the next 50 years and take over nightly news, sports, sitcoms, hunting shows, and more, all conveniently stored for you in our Fight Laugh Feast pub. We're already reaching the next generation through our podcast shows on YouTube, X, and our pub, while also tapping into legacy media audiences by airing our shows on TV through DirecTV and Xfinity. We have made a lot of progress with some duct tape and a good bit of intuition and a lot of sweat. And now we need your support more than ever. The TV networks have had such a negative impact on our households, and we're trying, by the grace of God, to put a stop to that. We have the opportunity. We just need the army. Now more than ever, we need you to join our pub to help us reach our goal of 1 million pub supporters in the next 5 years. There's no way around it. Competing with Fox and the Alphabet networks without money is virtually impossible. It's cheap for you to join. And when you do, you're combining your small monthly support with a growing army of like-minded Christians. We have thousands, we need millions. So if you want more of the alphabet network's misinformation and lies, don't join. But if you want to give us a mere 5 stones, then please join the pub, and together we will take a swing at the head of big media, all the while fighting, laughing, and feasting to the glory of God.
Boom. Hey, y'all. Welcome to CrossPolitic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Very interesting show today with what's going on in Colorado. We have 2 pastors and 1 pastor's a legislator coming on to talk about some crazy trans bills that are happening. And, I mean, Colorado, since 2008, when it started voting for Barack Obama, that was the first governor, the first Democratic president it had voted for in, I think, since the 70s. Colorado had only voted for 2 Democratic presidents, and then Barack Obama in 2008.
Yeah, it's because they were smoking so much pot.
Yeah, that's right.
Come rain or shine, we all need people who we can count on to stand by us. Sadly, in today's age, we rarely find that type of community at work. Story Real Estate is different. Through the roller coasters of life, they are there, holding strong, building together. Now, if this is the tribe and work environment you're looking for, go to storyrealestate.com, click menu, and then join our team to apply.
Ooh.
Now, I was supposed to read another ad, so I've got to go back up there. This is Alps Precious Metals. In Genesis chapter
Gold,
2,
hallelujah.
verses 10 through 12, God tells us of the gold in the land of Havilah, and that the gold of that land is good. Ever since the dawn of our father's world, gold has been universally recognized as true money, and therefore the most reliable store of savings. CrossPolitic's corporate partner, Alps Precious Metals, enables their clients to protect their God-given hard-earned wealth from the serious financial problems that are upon us. Alps provides the CrossPolitic family with the best strategies and solutions for investing in physical precious metals. As a result, you can enjoy a peace of mind that can be had with few other investments. So call James Hunter of Alps at 251-377-2197. That's James Hunter at 251-377-2197. Or visit their website at www.alpspmg.com. That's alpspmg.com.
And don't forget to catch our show on Monday. With Jim and Jordan from Bitcoin.
Yeah,
and
last Monday.
Josiah, that just happened. And go check it out. It was one of my favorite shows we've done in a while, partly because it was live and we got to smoke cigars and everything.
Yeah.
Live shows are always fun. So
that was a good time.
Great discussion between gold and Bitcoin and kind of traditional wealth management.
Yeah, it was a good conversation.
I thought it was.
We're grateful to have with us, as Gabe mentioned just a minute ago, 2 pastors from the state of Colorado.
We're just 2 pastors and a politician.
Yeah, please.
Knox would know where that's coming from.
Please stop. Chase Davis is the lead pastor of ministry at the Well Church in Boulder, Colorado. He holds an MDiv and a THM degree from Denver Seminary and is pursuing a PhD in historical theology at, I'm not going to pronounce that, but some school in Amsterdam.
That's a special school in Amsterdam.
Sorry. No, I'm not doing that, Chase. He authored Trinitarian Formation, a theology of discipleship in light of the Father, Son, and Spirit, and he hosts the Full Proof Theology podcast and resides near Boulder, Colorado with his wife, Kim, and their 2 sons. Chase, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you, brother. And, there he is.
Hey,
hi,
how's it going?
Hi, doing great. What's the name of that school where you're getting a PhD?
Man, I don't know it. I can't say it. The Free University of Amsterdam. You know, I'm American, and I wanted to study an English speaker, and it just so happened I got put into a school in Amsterdam that I can't pronounce the name of.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good. I'm glad we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We also have Scott Bottoms. He's a Republican state representative for Colorado's House District 15, a U.S. Navy veteran and the longtime pastor of church at Briargate. With degrees from Southwestern Assemblies of God University and Denver Seminary, he champions conservative causes like religious freedom, parental rights, and pro-life protections. Bottoms recently announced his run for Colorado governor in the 2026 election. Thanks so much for joining us, Scott.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys.
And Scott, if you could just tilt your camera up a little bit. I know you're.
There we go.
You're in your Jeep. There. Oh, a little more.
No, not up.
Yes. It went back down.
It's great. We good? Bree's good.
Bree's happy with it.
So,
that's all I can do.
That's great.
Hey, you look good, man.
I'm leaving the Capitol right now.
Is this like illegal in Colorado right now?
As long as I don't touch my phone, it's not. If I touch my phone, then I'll go to prison the rest of my life.
Okay.
This and the tranny bill. This is pretty big deal here in Colorado.
You guys live in a Soviet state down there.
Yeah, you can smoke weed, but you can't touch your phone while driving.
Right.
Scott, so tell us, you're sitting legislator right now. Give us just the basic overview of this insane Kelly Loving Act, HB 25-1312. What is going on?
So the name of it was actually named after a transgender person that was killed in the Club Q shooting, which there was a bunch of problems with that also. But this bill basically says if your 8-year-old son comes home from school one day and says, I think I'm a girl, if mom or dad, either one, say anything to the contrary, like, well, maybe you're not. If they say anything to the contrary, it is now a crime and their children can be taken away from them. That's the simple explanation.
So notice what Scott was referring to. It's the process of what we'd call jamming.
Right.
Because they named the bill after a transgender person that was murdered in a nightclub. There's a shooting. It was, I don't know, it might have been a drive-by shooting or actually attack on the nightclub. And then they take that tragedy and name it into a bill and what we call jamming.
Weaponizing that.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
So it's hard for you to say
sin of empathy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Wow.
So
the nightclub shooting was actually the nightclub shooting was actually an irritated person, gay person that was part of the nightclub regularly. They got mad at one of the other gay patrons and went home, got a gun, and came back and shot the place up.
Wow. How do you? That's a whole new level of jamming.
Yeah. So you don't hear about all that, but
no, not at all. So Scott, we had you on, I think 2 years ago, maybe longer than that. Maybe it was 2 years ago, and you told us you kind of went through all these like frustrating stories about you actually trying to represent your people in Colorado Springs. I believe you're one of the representatives of Colorado Springs, right? Correct.
Yes.
Yep. And you just were kind of laying out how difficult it was for a legislator, a Republican legislator, to get anywhere in the House because the House, the Democratic-controlled House, would come up with all these reasons why you couldn't talk on the floor or we couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Is that still going on? And how does that affect your ability to be a voice against this bill?
It's still going on. It's gotten more egregious. We did gain 3 seats in the House, which put us out of the super minority, but 1 vote into the minority. They're still doing this. Let me give you a little bit more on this bill. And this stuff is all about to explode tomorrow because I have a press conference about this. So this bill is about controlling speech, controlling people, and using children as the bully club here to take children out of the home if you don't go by the transgender ideology. Well, at the exact same time this bill is happening, we have some legislative aides that females that made a formal complaint because men were using their bathroom. Biological men. They can call themselves whatever they want. I do not accept the premise of misgendering and dead naming. That is a fake construct. I do not accept the fact that men can be women. I reject all of that stuff. And I've said that many times, and the speaker gavels me down or kicks me out of the well because I misgender and I come right back, And so now these young professional women, they have been so beat up and bullied over the last 4 or 5 weeks by the Speaker of the House. But this was all supposed to be confidential. The Speaker is not allowed to know about this. The Majority Leader, all of a sudden, all of the leadership knows. They told these girls, you have to keep all this confidential. You can't talk about it. It blows up. And now one of the aides already quit. And the other 2 aides were being bullied just this morning, saying you better not go out there and speak at the rally because this is confidential and you can lose your job. And now I've heard this through the grapevine. I left before they could talk to me. But now I'm hearing that they're not going to let me speak on the steps because I'm running for governor and I'm not a representative in that capacity. And so, which is stupid. I'm going to I'm about to sue their pants off. I've already sued them twice. The Speaker of the House is scared to death of me. She will not hardly gavel me down. She gavels everybody else. But I'm going to sue them again. And we're going to run this up the flagpole because they're abusing women over the transgender ideology.
Chase, you've been speaking out on this as well. What about this bill do we need to know?
Well, I mean, bottom line is that the impact of this bill would criminalize Christianity in the state of Colorado. For any gospel-preaching church and any God-fearing American citizen and citizen of the state of Colorado, it would essentially bind their speech.
In the pulpit?
Any place of public accommodation. So we're talking schools, perhaps churches. I know all businesses, including, publishers of podcasts. If you were to violate these things, you would be brought before the Civil Rights Commission. And so the way I've described it is they're trying to make all Christians Jack Phillips. They're trying to Jack Phillips the entire state. This is wildly unpopular legislature. Nobody likes this. It's these radical Democrats, and all Democrats seem to be radical these days, but it's effectively binding speech codes on people regarding what Scott mentioned, what they call dead naming and misgendering and all that kind of stuff. It's eliminating dress codes from schools so that people can dress however their perceived gender would be. I mean, we're seeing lots of good progress. We just saw yesterday, I believe it was 60 school board leaders across the state of Colorado, spanning the state, writing in opposition to this bill. But yeah, this bill would punish Christians all across the state. And not just Christians, that's the other thing. We have lots of support against the bill from people who aren't even Christians. They just know this is bad. This is anti-American. This is anti-human, and we shouldn't support this at all. So that's effectively what it does.
Are there any any legislative Democrats, Senate Democrats voicing their opinion against this?
Not that I know of. Scott may be able to speak more clearly to that, but I haven't heard of anyone break rank on their line.
Scott?
In the House, nobody broke rank. On some of the amendments and things, a few representatives did. In the Senate, we're still waiting because tomorrow is when it goes to Senate committee. And I'm telling you, there is pressure. Chase is right about this. The pressure across the state is enormous, to the point where even many churches, I've been traveling all over the state trying to wake churches up for 2 years now, wake pastors up. The average church person is awake about this, but it's the pastors that are struggling. And now the pastors are even starting to wake up, and they're saying this is a bridge too far. So if any good comes out of this, it's the fact that we're waking the pastors up, and we can still defeat this tomorrow. If enough people get enough senators uncomfortable with this, we can defeat this. And then maybe not then, but maybe when it goes to the floor in the Senate the next day or two.
Chase, you threw a rally. You kind of helped put together a rally, I don't know, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. How difficult was it to get pastors involved in that rally?
On something like this, it was only difficult because we planned it in 2 days, and we're kind of a ragtag group of pastors from smaller churches without a bunch of resources. And so our guys are great. The guys in our coalition span denominations, and they know how to pull permits. They know how to get it done. And so we spoke there. Scott spoke there. It was a great time. I like to think of it, I think it was a few hundred. I like to say 300 because it reminds me of Gideon and the 300. But we're going to host another rally tomorrow, 12:30 on the west steps of the Capitol. We're going to do a bunch of prayer and worship and speaking again. I was just writing some of my thoughts down for that tomorrow. I've also signed up to provide written testimony. But yeah, as far as getting pastors involved, it's actually been incredibly encouraging. A lot of pastors who would look at me and maybe guys like you on CrossPolitic, and they might say, hey, you're a little hot-headed sometimes. Now they're coming out and they're going, okay, I'm in. I'm going to write in. And I'm talking guys, I'm talking, it spans the issue of men and women pastors. It spans the issue of gifts in the church. It spans the issue of denominations. This is an egregious assault on God's truth, and they recognize it, and they're waking up. And so I've been incredibly inspired and encouraged by so many pastors. We need more. There's lots of sleepy pastors out there who have just kind of been doing what a lot of pastors have been doing. They've been doing some Bible teaching, some good work, just trying to keep their head down. But at this point, a lot of them are waking up. And so just today, I think we had Jeff Anderson out of Colorado submitted a letter with, I think it was around 70 churches, at least. Our original letter had 16. That was just sent by us. But Jeff is going to send that, and he's a faith advisor to U.S. congressman. So we're seeing lots of support from places, like I said, that you wouldn't expect. That a lot of people who have given me kind of a side eye and how I've kind of led in some stuff and spoke out against some stuff in the past, all of a sudden they're going, okay, I'll say something. So they're posting on Facebook, signing letters, telling their churches, hey, let's get involved.
Scott, what's the actual status of this bill? Has it already passed the House and is it now at the Senate, or where is it in the process?
Yeah, this is a House bill, so it started in the House and it's gone all the way through that process, and then it goes over to the Senate. And they kept it quiet for a week or two, and I think they were doing that because there's so much. I've never seen anything like this. The only thing that's come close is gun bills, and everybody is upset about this. And I'm getting calls from Democrats saying, "How can we defeat this? How can we not in the House, but just across the state?"
Yeah.
But so they kept it quiet. But last Thursday, they had to introduce it before last Thursday because the end of our session is next Wednesday, and so they have a squished timeline here. So they had to get it into committee in the Senate. It went into the committee. That's what it's doing tomorrow, is going into committee, and that's when the people come and testify. And then it'll go to the floor. If it passes through committee, it'll go to the floor. And because we're in the last 10 days of session, everything gets squished, and the rules you don't have to go by the rules, so they can take it straight into the floor like the next day. And then that's when we debate it as representatives. And so I don't know. I'm praying. I am praying like crazy for this, that this thing will just be defeated. But it looks slim, but there is the possibility.
So, Scott, does Colorado even have a chance? It seems to me it just like keeps getting worse and worse. And we talked to you 2 years ago, and we thought things were bad. Well,
like God's judgment, Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say first to maybe get back. Does it even have a chance to get back to maybe some sort of like sanity? And then, of course, always does Colorado have a chance to even get back to Christ in all this?
Well, here's what's happening that I have been very impressed with. So one of the things, and I mentioned this last week when Chase was standing up there and the other pastors were standing up there, that moved my spirit more than I can say. I have been begging. I have been all over this state begging pastors, please recognize. And this was before the election because we were constitutionalizing abortion. I said, please recognize that we are at the brink of God bringing judgment on us as a state. We can't seem to see that. And these pastors are being lazy about it. But the last 3-4 months, I'm starting to get emails and calls and pastors saying, hey, I'm going to put a conference together with 200 pastors. Will you show up and be the speaker? And just tell us what to do. And I'm like, yes. So when I was standing there and these guys were behind me, there was only 7 or 8 of us, I think, Chase. But
that's right.
Yeah.
But it moved my spirit. It moved my spirit. And here's the other side, is I have Democrats calling me regularly. These are big Democrat leaders, big Democrat donors that are calling me and saying, enough is enough. We need to put you in the governor. Most conservative guy in the House. And Democrats are saying that. Why? Because these crazy Marxist leftists in the House of Representatives do not represent the state. And they don't even represent most of the Democrats, in my opinion. Now, there's a lot of leftists out there in the Democrat Party. But a lot of these people are saying, no, you're not coming for our children. And this is too far. And I'm telling you, they are campaigning more for me right now than I'm campaigning for me. Wow. They're going to put me in the governor's seat. And then we're going to do some changing.
We're going to make Colorado great again. We're going to make it greater than great. That's right. I'm just looking at this summary of the bill. I mean, it's just pretty insane. This summary says Section 2 provides that when making child custody decisions and determining the best interests of a child for purposes of parenting time, a court shall consider dead naming, misgendering, or threatening to publish material related to an individual's gender-affirming health care services as types of coercive control,
Notice they say parenting time because that's how they look at you.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You just get time with your kids.
Right.
We own your kids and we give you time.
Is absolutely insane. Section 3 prohibits a Colorado court from applying or giving any force or effect to another state's law that authorizes a state agency to remove a child from the child's parent or guardian because the parent or guardian allowed the child to receive gender-affirming healthcare services. So they're going against other states that might be wanting to protect children from this kind of stuff. Again, you mentioned the dress code implemented by local education providers must allow each student to choose from any of the options provided in the dress code. I guess any options. I don't even know what that means. And then defining Section 7 and 8 define dead naming and misgendering as discriminatory acts in the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act and prohibit these discriminatory acts in places of public accommodation. That's what you were getting at, Chase. This seems like it is absolutely insane. And it's really striking that even the Democrats are like, this is a bridge too far. You said a minute ago, Chase, and I want to just underline this, that you guys are rallying again tomorrow. Can you give those details again and invite people to that?
Yeah, 12:30 West Steps of the Capitol will rally. Those of us who have signed up to provide testimony will go in. It'll be an interesting thing. I've never done this before. Maybe that's shame on me. Sorry about that.
You're waking up too,
Scott Bottoms. But I'll go in and hopefully get my turn. I think they're trying to sneak in other bills too. That's the other thing. They're cracking down on guns, and so it really is communistic. They're trying to disarm the population and take away children. This is all egregious. And I think speaking about this bill and how it's waking people up when you come after their kids, that's great, but there's a lot more work to be done. There's a lot more work to be done. And a lot of pastors are scared to speak on the Second Amendment because they don't want to offend anybody, but that's our God-given right. We believe it's biblical and we should defend it. And we should equip our people to think about that biblically. But yeah, tomorrow, 12:30 West Steps of the Capitol, I'll speak. A few other pastors will speak. We'll have some representatives speak as well. Okay. We'll have some worship. It's going to be a great time. Like Scott experienced last week, it's going to be an inspiring time of unity as we kind of march forward. I think, you guys asked, is there any hope?
Yeah.
I am undeterred in my hope. I don't know why I would not be more hopeful right now, because this dragon is so big. It's giant. It's ugly. It's disgusting. And who has God put in our state? He's put a lot of good Christians, a lot of good Christian men who are standing up. Some of them are finally finding a backbone. We're saying, let's kill the dragon. This is a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be a Christian. We always have hope in the Lord. And this is, honestly, it's an unmasking moment for those who thought they could kind of walk the middle, and there's both good ideas on both sides. You're seeing the left, the Democrats, not break rank on these things. They are in lockstep pushing forward this radical transgender ideology that nobody wants, that's perverted, that's wicked, that's harmful and destructive and anti-God and anti-human. So I'm pumped. I'm hopeful in the Lord, and no matter what, even if they were to sign this into law, which it would kill Polis's presidential aspirations, even if they were, there are other recourses we have under the current regime to strike back. And so I am undeterred, and I'm confident that the Lord will provide justice in the end. But until then, we should fight it tooth and nail every step of the way.
Chase, you said a minute ago that this is like the Jack, I don't know how you said it, the Jack Phillipsing of all of Colorado. And so that makes me wonder, didn't that go badly for them? Isn't that
did they lose at the Supreme Court?
Didn't they lose?
They lose, but that's the whole process. The process is a punishment for these people. They want you to go through, and that's the thing, they want everyday Christians to be threatened with the sword as they reward evildoers and punish those who do good. It's the complete inverse of Romans.
Right.
And so, the Jack won, but they kept coming after him. They keep coming after him. And that's what Christians have to get through their heads. These people will not let up. And so they're going to try to probably amend this. I would assume Scott can speak better to it than me, but they would probably try to amend it, to try to get it passed through the Senate. And so my encouragement to Christians is, do not be deceived. They've already tried to pass this. This is what they want. They're going to try to, offer you some kind of concession. Do not accept it. Reject it wholeheartedly. There is no giving them an inch in this fight. There is no giving them anything. Look what they did to Jack. They drug him through the courts for years. They harassed him and his family and his business.
So true.
And we cannot back down now. The good news is that I'm confident there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Christians in Colorado who are saying, make me Jack Phillips. Do it. I dare you, because you've already lost, and we're going to make you lose 1,000 times more.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I derive, ultimately from the Lord is my hope, but that's the implications.
Well, and I guess Scott and Chase, part of where I'm coming from is like, I'm in this conservative state. We're pretty comfortable in these things not happening in our state, like Idaho. I'm in Idaho. And so you kind of look at a state like California and you're just like, wow, they got Newsom. I mean, just leave, just get out of there. There's, it's like, go to a state where you aren't fighting. I mean, like in Colorado, at least in Idaho, it's like I can maybe fight for lower taxes. And in Colorado, like, you aren't even there. It's like you're fighting against, the state wanting to take your kids away. If your kid at 5 years old thinks he's a girl for, a day. So, I guess part of my question is coming from is I'm comfortable in my state. And of course, that means there's definitely certain temptations that we're going to have, and us Christians in Idaho are going to have, because we are comfortable. But also, it's the kind of concept where it's like, if Colorado's so bad, why don't you leave and go somewhere where you can fight, what might look like, or what we might say, better battles. Tear me down. Come at me, Chase.
You think they're going to stop in Colorado? They push this stuff in Texas. They push this stuff in Tennessee. They push it in North Carolina. They're coming everywhere. And if we don't stop it here, it's coming to you. I see the same thing in Texas. They got transgender teachers in public schools. Yep. So where have Christians been called to go? They've been called to go to the front lines to fight the battle, to take the fight to the enemy. And that's what we need to do. And too many Christians, look, I don't blame those Christians who would move for whatever reason God called them, or to protect their family, protect their business, their livelihood. Look, God bless them. That's fine. I'm saying for Christians that are confident in the Lord, that have a secure kind of anti-fragile life where they've got support and they know how to fight, wield that sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, and let the trumpet sound. And let's go. Like, let's get to war. And we got to stop. That kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. We got to stop giving up ground. We need to be taking ground for the Lord. We need to stand strong wherever we're planted. And whatever the Lord has for us in His providence will come to pass. All we've been called to do is be faithful.
I agree with that completely, and Gabe, I don't think we're as comfortable as you think.
Yeah,
I mean, Boise is bright blue.
That's right.
I mean,
and we got a LGBT friendly mayor,
and we have we even have a Republican legislature that is very weak.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's it's as strong. I mean, we've got good people there, but I don't think it's nearly as strong as you think.
That's
and I think Chase is exactly right. Like, they're not going to stop till. I mean, we played. You guys might remember that video that went viral during 2020 with the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir singing "We Are Coming for Your Children." I just reviewed that a couple of days ago, and it's like they are coming for our children.
They're singing about it.
They're singing about it openly. And why would they stop in Colorado? They're coming this way as well.
And I'd say, Scott, the same kind of question for you, but like, you're running for governor in Colorado. Why are you a loser?
Yeah, that sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pastoring still, and I'm a representative, so I thought, I've got all this extra time. Why don't I try the governor thing too? So, no, here's a reality of this. This came from many deep prayer moments with God, saying, God, I don't like being a representative. I don't enjoy going and discussing. We discussed for hours one day whether children at 12 years old should be allowed to have transition surgery. But that's not what we were debating, is if they should. What we were debating is should parents know about it. This is the stupidity, the demonic stupidity that we deal with here. Yes. And so in really, truly agonizing times in prayer with God, I knew God was telling me, you got to do this. I'm like, God, I don't see me being the governor. And then after I accepted from God, and then I declared, and I've been campaigning. I'm in infancy of campaigning until this session is over next week. Mm-hmm. But God is showing me I'm going to be the next governor of Colorado. And that's bizarre to me. That is beyond my scope, usually, of how I think. But it's what Chase said earlier. I can't run away from this fight. I just can't. Mm-hmm. And so I tell people all the time when they say, well, why should we come testify if the bill's just going to be passed anyway? Because there is something transcendent about truth. Truth comes from Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And lies come from Satan. And if we're going to be truth speakers, then we're actually speaking Jesus, even though we may not cognitively process that sometimes. But when you are intentionally speaking Jesus, that's truth. That will cut through the darkness in a way Satan cannot stop. And I'm telling you, the success that I have already been having and the success that I can see in prayer that is coming up in my existence, it comes from being a truth speaker. Speak Jesus. And he'll use somebody insignificant like me. I'm also bold. I don't run away from things, but it's the anointing of the Lord that's really carrying me into these settings. And so, I don't know. We'll see. November 26th. I think I'm going to be the next governor.
Of this 2025, November 20, this November or next November?
26.
Okay, 26. Yeah. Okay. Before we wrap up, I would love.
I got another question.
Well, why don't you ask that question, guy? I got a good wrap up question that I want from both of them.
Why are you going to send them off so fast? I was thinking, how much of this? I mean, obviously, when we're talking about this kind of demented stuff, I mean, we know there are dark powers behind this that we don't necessarily understand or know how that's at work. And at the same time, I'm also thinking just like practically, like what drives people to this kind of madness.
Yeah.
And I'm curious. I mean, like at least one thing that I've talked about some on this show is just, when you are talking about like whether or not we're going to notify parents, like you were discussing a minute ago, Scott, like what we're talking about is basically whether or not adults can have sexual access to kids without their parents' permission.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is grooming children in order to use them sexually. I think the whole thing is driven by really like pedophilia, basically, and all kinds of extraneous and interconnected sexual perverse lusts. I mean, are you seeing the same thing? Or are there other things you think that are driving this? And is that part of what needs to be told, like the truth that needs to be told? Like, why do you want to talk about, 5 minutes ago during the Me Too movement, it was like, make sure that, you tell kids regularly that they have no secrets from anyone to protect them from sexual exploitation. And now we're thinking about passing bills in which we're actually seriously contemplating whether or not parents need to be told about children's sexual proclivities or temptations. This seems to me to be just manifestly a grooming move in public schools and in public places. Thoughts on that, Chase?
Oh, it's completely demonic. There's truly nothing new. This goes back to Old Testament pagan worship, and they do. It really is difficult, and I don't envy Scott and his role having to go into that place every day and having to interface. Some of these people are wildly deceived, regarding what y'all have talked about regarding the sin of empathy and misplaced compassion. Some of them are totally captured by demonic ideologies, and I would attribute that to literal Marxists in our government, those who are part of the Democratic Socialists of America, that kind of thing. These are people who are possessed by demonic ideologies, and they need to be set free from that. And they need to come to saving knowledge of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so there is a lot at play in terms of how it connects to Baal worship, Molech. I mean, you look at the left and what they want to do. It's completely anti-God. They want to kill children in the womb. They want to ruin their lives sexually outside the room so they can't reproduce. And then they want to talk about climate change and global population control and euthanasia. It's all death all the way down. And so this is part and parcel of people who hate God and don't worship God and don't love the Lord. This is what they do. So there's a lot of money coming in there. I think where a lot of Christians get confused is, we talk about principalities and powers and how God has put them to open shame through Jesus Christ. But those principalities and powers, they manifest themselves in real institutions and real people who come against us with violence, and we must resist them in the strongest possible terms.
I'm curious
I want to hear from Scott real quick. Yeah. Scott, your thoughts on what's motivating all this? What's driving this?
Everything Chase said is right on target. Let me add some dynamic from my position in the House. So Colorado is the most pedophile-friendly state in the United States according to our laws, and we're the most human trafficking-friendly state in the entire United States according to our laws. I ran a bill this session that got defeated unanimously, by the way, by the Democrats. But I ran a bill that said that human trafficking, you cannot human traffic somebody across the borders if you're going to give them transgender surgery or abortion or any of those kind of things. You cannot traffic them. And they voted against it 100%. I ran another bill that said that all medical procedures, anything has to have parental permission. They voted unanimously against that. There's another layer to this. Everything Chase said is true, but here's part of the problem. Pedophilia is strong within the House of Representatives and with the Senate of Colorado and goes all the way to the governor's office. Pedophilia is strong. That's all I can say like that, because if I say more, I have to be able to prove it when they sue me to death. And so, but I know what I'm talking about. I'm not making this up. I've talked to many. I just know what I'm talking about. And and how do you stop it? How do you vote? How do you vote against? We had a bill last year, the last 2 years, and I think I talked to you guys on your show about this one. I can't remember, but we had a bill that was going to make it. Right now, when people buy children, they get off on probation about 90% of the time in Colorado. Buy children.
Wow.
And I asked the sheriffs and the CBI and all that. I said, what's the youngest that you've ever walked in? You've caught them in the act of raping a child. And one sheriff was in tears when he told me this. And he said, the youngest that I've seen in person was 2 years old. They are caught in the act of raping a 2-year-old and they get off on probation. So we tried to run a bill that said that you have to serve at least 4 years. How disgusting is 4 years? And they voted unanimously against it. Wow. And so when you vote against stuff like that, when you vote against that, it's because you're involved in pedophilia somehow.
And how are you going to get a fair case if you tried to, Scott, if you tried to push this in the courts, how would you get a fair case there too? You know what I'm saying? Like if you went after one of the legislators that you knew was involved in pedophilia or something, how would you get a fair trial for that person?
Well, so here's my problem. Okay. Our state is Democrat controlled. Democrat governor, Democrat attorney general, Democrat secretary of state. The Denver Police Department, strongly Democrat controlled. State police works for the governor. Our 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, Democrat controlled and very corrupt. Our Supreme Court, Democrat controlled, very corrupt. So who do I tell? And I've had conversations with many police officers that I know and that I trust. Who do I tell? And they said, we don't know. They'll crucify you if you do. You'll be the one ending up in jail.
You got to get James O'Keefe in there.
That's
you got to get an undercover investigator.
Yeah, we need to get some sting operations.
Yeah, like an undercover, James O'Keefe or something in there.
I'm telling you guys more than I have told anybody else, but I have talked to people about this, and there are people that are willing to work with me on this, but they have to have all of the settings just right.
Yep,
but
ducks
I
in a row.
have to get it outside of Colorado, and we're a demonically controlled bubble in Colorado, and if I had some help from somebody at the federal level, I could take down a lot of people.
Wow.
Have you been able to connect with Pam Bondi at all?
No, not directly. We're going farther into what I want to talk about.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
I'll keep pushing.
Well, I think we ought to, we're at least going to run this show up the flagpole, and hopefully the Lord is going to send reinforcements very soon. But I guess my initial thought though is, you know what, Scott? I mean, the wonderful news is that Jesus is still king of Colorado.
That's right.
And
Yes.
and he rules and he reigns in the midst of his enemies
This
and our
wickedness.
enemies and this evil.
Yeah.
And I also think when you describe that kind of stuff, I mean, there are psalms about how God he knows the cries of orphans and widows.
That's right. That's right.
He hears them and he rises up and he defends them. Psalm 68 and others. I mean, he rises up like a warrior to defend those who are being mistreated. He is the father of the fatherless. He is the defender of those who are afflicted and oppressed. And I think I'm proud to know both of you men standing up in Colorado and standing for the truth and leading your people and other ministers to stand up and proclaim Christ in this dark place. And I also think that God sees this, Christ sees this, and these people are going down. You can't do this to little ones who bear God's image and get away with it. It is simply not possible. And so I believe fully and trust completely that what you've begun to illustrate and say out loud right now, I believe, as in the immortal words of Johnny Cash, God's going to come and cut you down.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I agree.
I got one final question.
You asked a little bit earlier about why governor. This is part of the reason. Me running for governor is giving me a bigger exposure, and I knew it would, to be able to handle these issues and to get this message outside of Colorado. And if I actually end up in the governor's seat, think what I can do in this arena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got one more question here. I'm asking Chase.
We're going to doge that Colorado.
Yeah,
in every which way.
100%.
We're going to doge that thing in every which way.
Chase, you can answer this question first, and I know you can go because you got a church thing you got to go to. And then Scott, talk to Idaho. Talk to my state. Talk to me.
Or other red states.
Other red states. I mean, what were you guys doing 20 years ago or not doing 20 years ago that this happened in your state under your watch?
Well, I moved here in 2009, and back then
it's still your fault.
Yeah, no, I have to take responsibility. Yeah, no, and so what I saw happen, and I'm learning a lot, guys. I'm learning a lot. 'Cause thankfully, the Lord has made some divine introductions, whether to Scott or other people. But the evangelicals here, the church here, got kind of lazy and got comfortable and got complacent, and they began to make a detente with the world and pretend that they could have a treaty with the world, and they wanted to opt out of kind of getting engaged. And so, a lot of it came with the legalization of marijuana, bringing a whole population of people who are going to vote this way. But yeah, I think there was for general kind of Coloradans, just like Idaho, it kind of has a Western libertarian bent. Live and let live, kind of don't tread on me, leave me alone. And the bottom line is the left is not going to leave you alone. You could have believed that fantasy maybe 20 years ago where, okay, well, they want to do their thing and they want to do their hippie stuff, and that's fine, but it's not going to stay there, man. It's always going to come for you. And so you have to be resolved to fight wherever you are, however big or small the battle may seem. And so that's why I'm encouraging Christians in red states, red counties, red cities, wherever they are, you need to resist the first sign of this stuff. That hipster coffee shop downtown flying the transgender flag, that may seem like a funny accoutrement, or, we live in a pluralistic culture, so they can do what they do. No, you should do something about that. I'm not calling for any kind of vandalism, but I'm saying there's things you can do. Just simply go pray, ask the Lord to intercede, and then get involved in the political process in whatever means you can. That's the wild thing about all this. This is actually not difficult for pastors to get involved in this stuff and lead the charge. And if the pastor won't defend his sheep now, I don't know when he would. Pastors need to be defending the sheep under their care, and we've been entrusted by God to do so. And this stuff is actually very simple. Go and speak on the west steps of the Capitol at 12:30 tomorrow and proclaim God's truth.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right. That's it. It's Chase makes the simplest, dumbest point. Like a pastor can just start praying for Colorado.
Right.
Like Like you don't, not even showing up to event. I mean, that's a different step, different level.
Right.
But are you praying for righteousness to reign in Colorado
or
as a pastor?
Or in your city, or in your city?
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, the tranny flag means they want to do this to your kids.
That's right.
I mean, like we talked about this recently about like just all of the idols going up, these 90-foot statues and all these things. It's like we finally see it there. And we're like, oh, so they want to destroy our way of life. Like that's what that idol means.
That's what that statue means.
They want to destroy Christian civilization. That's what mosques mean.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the tranny flag and the pride flag. And I was talking about this on the show last week and saying, I don't think I've thought of it like that.
That's right.
I don't think I realized, like I thought, oh, that's wrong. That's an abomination. But I don't think I've thought about it as like, no, that's what enemy armies do.
They plant flags.
They plant flags and they say, we're going to take this. And that's what they're doing. They're planting an alien flag and they're flying it in our cities and in our towns and in our states. And they're saying, we're going to take this over and we're coming for your kids.
I'm fired up.
And so, I mean, you're absolutely right. When you see the flag, you need to be offended. I think that's one of the things is I've not been offended by the flag as much as I needed to be. I hate it. I don't like it, but I need to know that's just as offensive as somebody walking downtown with a white hood on, and saying I hate Jews or I hate blacks. Yeah. It's like, I mean, why would that be offensive? Like, what about free speech? It's like, no, because that's a threat to my neighbors. Yeah. That's a threat to my neighbors. And I hate that. I despise that. But that's what they're doing with the rainbow flag. That's what they're doing with the tranny flag. That's what they're doing with all these things. I know do you want to ask the same question?
I want Scott to answer. Chase, you can go, man. Take care of your church. Guys. Lord bless you, brother.
Keep fighting, man.
God bless you guys. Thank you.
See you tomorrow, Chase.
All right. See you.
So as Chase was saying, maybe 20 years ago this wasn't a big issue. So I drove into Fort Collins. I've been in Colorado a long time. I drove into Fort Collins, a northern city of Colorado, 20 years ago, a little bit 22 years ago, and on the street lights in a downtown old town kind of feel downtown area. They've got the flags that like celebrate a festival coming up or something like this. On the flags were NAMBLA. I did not know what NAMBLA was. This was over 20 years ago. I literally didn't know. And so I'm looking that up. This was early cell phone internet thing, but I was looking this up while I was sitting in a restaurant and realized this is North American Man Boy Love Association.
Yep.
They've been coming for our kids a lot more than 20 years.
Right.
Wow.
They've been coming for our kids a long time. But Chase is right. The church has been quiet. The church has been asleep because we're more concerned with people coming in the doors of our building and giving money than we are with whether there's transformation, salvation, covering of the blood. And we say we're speaking love to these people. But if you know they're going to hell, if you know they're destroying children, and you don't say anything about it, then you're not speaking love. You're speaking narcissism to them. That you are more concerned with your return, what you get in return, than loving them. I've been telling my church, and I preach this to pastors when I do conferences. If you truly love them, you will love them transcendently to Jesus, which means you have to tell them the truth. You have to tell them what sin is. You have to tell them what repentance is. If you don't, you're not actually speaking and living love to them. You're living something else. And it has to do with your return value. And that's not what Scripture says. And that's what's been going on in Colorado for a long time. And we've been allowing the demonic to rule our state for a long time, where we're sitting back and saying, let them have their day. It's not that big of a deal. And it is a big deal. They're coming for your kids. And at the end of the day, it's more than just your kids. They're coming for your souls, all of your souls. And the children are the easy target. And it's sad, it's disgusting, but this is why I'm in the House every day. This is why I'm fighting the bills every day, and this is also why I'm running for governor. By the way, scottbottoms.com.
There we go.
Let's do it.
scottbottoms.com. Check him out. Follow him on the X. Everyone in Colorado, if you're within driving distance of Denver, you need to make it there tomorrow. 12:30 on the west steps of the Capitol building for that rally. Stand with these faithful men and talk to your pastor. Make sure he knows about what's going on. At least be praying for these guys and for this fight. This is a fight worth having. Appreciate you very much, Scott. Lord bless you.
Guys, let me mention one more thing. Sorry.
Please.
So the pastor part starts at 12:30. There's things that start before. At 10:30 is Colorado CPAN, Colorado Protecting Children. They're going to have a press conference. A few of those groups are going to have a press conference. I'm doing the press conference about the legislative aids that are being beat down in this same space. And then the pastor's saying, so really everything starts fairly early, around 10:30. And then it goes into, the bill goes into committee at 1:30.
Got it. Okay. Very good. I got an ad read, Gabe, but
thank you, Scott. You can go. Lord bless you, man.
Lord bless you.
We're praying for you, and we'll be in touch about the governor thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Classical Christian educators, administrators, board members, and parents, join Logos School for the 30th annual summer teacher training. That's the 30th annual summer teacher training, June 25 and 26 in lovely Moscow, Idaho. Who would want to be here in Moscow in the middle of June, towards the end of June? It's amazing here in June.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful.
You want to come to the 30th annual summer teacher training, June 25, 26 in Moscow, Idaho. You got main speakers Doug Wilson, Matt Whitling, Dr. Jared Longshore, Dr. Joe Rigney, and over 75 workshop sessions with experienced administrators and instructors, including my wife. You'll gain practical tools and classroom-tested strategies directly applicable to your educational setting. For 3 decades, Logos School has been equipping educators to excel in this distinctive approach to learning. Connect with veterans in the field, share insights with colleagues, and return to your school refreshed and inspired. Also, check out their specialized pre-conference boot camp options on June 24th. So there's a pre-conference June 24th.
Wow.
Don't miss this landmark 30th annual summer teacher training event. Register today to secure your spot at logosschool.com. Again, go to logosschool.com and register for the 30th teacher training sessions, June 25, 26.
You the answer for you, what should have you been doing 20 years ago? It's going to Logos School and get some teacher training.
Oh yeah, that's my answer.
That's what we should have been doing.
That's what I should
20 years ago. Christian education.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
There you go. That's all I got.
Everybody.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
But hold on. I'm just gonna.
You want to talk to this for a second?
Yeah. Just that point you're just making. Maybe this is the point you were making, but I'm just a little slower than you. Maybe
it was the point I was making.
I know. But I'm just thinking, like, here you are, and they're coming for your kids.
Yeah.
And he said they're coming for the kids. Scott just said, because they're vulnerable, which is true.
Which is very true.
Which is very true.
Yep.
They're also coming for the kids because the kids are the future.
Yep.
And the Bible teaches that is how you build civilization.
Right.
But you either are building a godly civilization or you're building a demented one.
That's right.
And that's what Colorado's trying to do. That's what every tranny flag you see flying in your town, no matter how red or conservative it appears to be, what that flag is proclaiming is we're coming for your kids and we want to build a demented civilization.
That's right.
Now, the thing is, this is why we're doing our Fight, Laugh, Feast conference this year.
That's right. That's right.
In Nashville, October, what is the dates?
15th through the 18th, but really 16th through the 18th is the main conference. We got some things happening before that.
Okay, but middle of October, 16th through the 18th in Nashville, Fight, Laugh, Feast conference. This year's theme is school wars.
You want to win 20 years from now.
That's right.
You have to start here.
And that's the reason for it. By school wars, what we mean is the kids are the future.
That's right.
And so that is why there's so much tension, so much warfare going on over how are we going to educate the kids? How are we going to train up the kids? How are we going to raise up the kids? That's where the battlefield rages. That's where the battle rages. And that's why we're doing this. So fightlaughfeast.com, crosspolitic.com, find the Fight Laugh Feast conference links.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot more coming out very soon.
Tons coming
but
out
you can register
weeks.
Now. It's all about raising your kids in the Lord, educating your kids in the Lord, training your kids in the Lord, and seeing that as the center of this war. You want to do something about Colorado? We need to do something about it now, and we're going to plant seeds, and we're going to take back all these states in the next 20 years. We're going to raise up children in the fear and admonition of the Lord, and they will stand with their fathers in the city gates, and we will not be ashamed. So that's the Fight Laugh Feast conference in October. Register today while there's still room.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with your hotel. Yeah, we're going to be traveling actually the rest of this week. We got some things happening.
Love God with the hotel.
Yes,
that's all I heard.
yes.
Love God with your hotel.
With your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is CrossPolitic.
Imagine a Christian college so desperate for worldly approval that congratulating an alumnus causes an institutional crisis. C.S. Lewis wrote that modern education is designed to create men without chests. In our ghastly simplicity, we castrate and bid the geldings be fruitful. But not at New St. Andrews College. We don't aspire to be the evangelical Harvard, selling our spiritual birthright for a pot of pious platitudes and federal financial aid, or doubling down on DEI until we are DEAD. Tucked away in the chimney of Idaho, surrounded by rolling wheat fields, pine forests, and fully intact bulls, we offer a Christian liberal arts education for outlaws and pirates. We don't feed the victimhood that afflicts young snowflakes, and we refuse to be manipulated by activists wielding their skin color and pronouns, or nice guys wielding their respectability and angst. And when the French are storming the Bastille, we won't tuck tail and run from empathetic mobs. No, we won't be steered by the emotional sabotage of the left because we're anchored to the Word of God. Our aim is to graduate leaders who shape culture under the Lordship of Christ. And when the Lord elevates them to positions of power, we'll celebrate the men and women of courage that we've launched into the cultural melee that surrounds us. We'll even congratulate faithful alumni of other institutions. So congratulations, Russ. You too, Pete.
But redemption is real.
And JD, tell Margaret we said hi.
I don't really care, Margaret.
New St. Andrews College. Don't be a steer.